Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the first of our Folan's primary webinar series. My name is Elizabeth Ivory, and I'm Head of Marketing and Communications at Folan's. I'm sure you've all had a very busy day in the classroom, so we really appreciate you making the time to join us this evening. So what do we have planned? Well, first up, we will be joined by experienced teacher and reviewer Jenny Kavanagh, who will walk us through how the new edition of Abair Liom can help bring Irish to life in the classroom. Jenny will also introduce our new levelled Irish readers, Liom. I'll give a very quick update, and then we will have time for any questions that you may have. And joining me on the Q&A panel is Karen Wogan, who is our Head of Primary Publishing. So if you do want to ask a question, all you have to do is there's a chat box on the top of your screen. So just stick your question in there and we'll get through as many of them at the end as we can. So without further ado, I'll hand over to Jenny. Thanks.
So good evening, everyone, and welcome to this section of tonight's webinar, showcasing the second edition of Abair Liom for juniors, seniors, first and second, but also with a specific focus on Abair Liom 3 and Abair Liom 4, as the second edition of those two levels are coming on stream next September. So I've been using Abair Liom for a number of years at this point. I've used it at several class levels, but I'm currently in junior infants teaching the second edition of Abair Liom A. So for me, one of the greatest benefits of Abair Liom is its ability to immerse our students in the whole world of Abair Liom that Folan's has created for us. Immersion in any language, we know, research proves, is the single best way to embed strong oral language skills. Strong oral language skills then pave the way for progressive reading and writing in later years. But this second edition does not just embed those strong oral language skills, it also informally and very cleverly introduces grammar right from the very start. It also systematically introduces phonics in the second edition very, very well, while also tackling reading and writing skills at a very, very early age. So it's actually feedback from us as teachers that has led to a lot of the changes in this second edition. Specifically in third and fourth class, we know that is when that poor attitude to Irish can creep in. So it's feedback from us as teachers using the programme day in, day out, that Folan's have really ran with our feedback and found, really investigated why that poor attitude creeps in. And for us, really, it's because we lose that fun and engaging approach to Irish teaching at that time, purely because we become so bogged down in content and grammar specifically, and verbs. So third and fifth for the curriculum, we know, is very heavy for us in terms of content. So many changes have been made to improve and continue the ever-present fun and engaging approach in the early years and bringing that forward onto third and fourth class. So hopefully you'll see that tonight. And the second major change with the second edition is to really make the programme in third and fourth completely accessible for all students, to allow them to experience success in their learning and really continue to motivate them to learn. So hopefully all of that will become clear for you tonight. We're going to begin by taking a walk through Abair Liom for junior infants to second class. And hopefully then we will move on to take a really in-depth look at the changes in Abair Liom 3 and 4 for the second edition. So Abair Liom for junior infants to second provides the perfect balance of print, digital and hands-on resources in one easy to use package. This consists of a pupil book, also flashcards that personally for me, they're my absolute go-to every day. They're the way that I introduce language, but also the quality of them is really, really good. It prevents that cutting and sticking and laminating and twinkling and Googling and up on the wall and down off the wall to really reinforce our vocabulary. Everything is provided for you. The quality is really good. And I actually, because I'm in junior infants, I allow them accessible, these flashcards, during playtime. So a lot of them, when they're playing school, they're using this same vocabulary. They don't realize that they're reinforcing the vocabulary themselves. but also recently they're started using the flashcards for little written activities, and they're actually copying, creating their own flashcards. So these are a superb addition in the junior infant and senior infant rooms. There's absolutely superb digital resources, a full suite of digital resources that you're going to see tonight. There's also a teacher handbook. Now, personally for me, and it's only a personal preference, I tend to access the handbook online. Everything in the handbook is available online, the planning tools and all those kind of things. It's only a personal preference, that's my go-to. The handbook itself, the hard copy is very, very clear, very accessible, and very, very easy to use. So at infant level, there's also a beautiful set of big books that I'm going to talk about later on, because I happen to really find them very beneficial, and a Shaughnessy for puppet that they love to fight over in my room. Abair Liom is the only Irish programme on the market that has such a comprehensive set of hands-on resources. This is very much in line with Ashter, as you know, which is that play-based approach to learning. So why you might consider Abair Liom for junior infants to second in your room. So fun is at the heart of the Abair Liom programme, from the humorous scenario that the characters find themselves in, to the playful elves and the mischievous monkey hidden in the posters. Children can relate to the language within the programme itself, as it's very closely linked to their own lives, be that in the context of a school lunch scenario, making pancoga, or watching the Late Late Toy Show. So Abair Liom brings Irish to life through the absolute library, a very extensive library of digital resources that are available. Each unit contains an interactive poster with animations, questions, vocabulary games, activities, and more. There's an animated chorale to support the teaching of the focused language structures. There's a song and a poem for each unit, and what I find very useful about this, you can even see it on the samples that are on the screen, it is full sentences that are in these songs and poems. So it's almost like they are singing the chorale, hearing the same vocabulary again, but in a different platform. There's one in the programme that's a Dia Gwit song that it's way back from September. It's still sung daily. They're very, very catchy. You'll certainly be singing these on a Saturday and Sunday. They just do not go out of your head. The digital resources also contain a phonics activity. It's something that has got overlooked in our school in previous years before we switched to the second edition. So phonics are introduced systematically right from the very start. And there's clocked a section to practice those absolute basics and keep them right at the top of their brains, such as numbers, colours, verbs, feelings, and more. One of the features that I'm delighted to see back as well is the click and animate. It's a very, very useful tool, again, using full sentences and not just one-off words. This was lost a few years ago because when the Flash resources changed to HTML5, the technology wasn't there to support it anymore, but thankfully a few years on, it's been possible. And this was feedback from teachers as well, that they wanted this tool back. So I'm glad to see in junior infants to second, it is now back. So we're going to take a look at that specific animate and click link now in the poster, as well as a vocabulary game and the phonics flashcards.
Riname toaster. Tolo like old banya.
This is the vocabulary game.
Lava.
And finally onto a phonics game.
Glass.
So with Abair Liom, you can rest assured that the curriculum is fully covered. There's extensive support for oral language, reading and writing throughout, and every resource is meticulously planned to put on Curcuiga Commersoida at its centre, and also completely mapped to the primary language curriculum. The revised phonics content in Abair Liom is now clearer and more systematic, and closely mirrors phonics development in English language programmes to support that transfer of skills between English and Irish. You'll see that many of the phonics activities, both in the student book and online, mirror those found in English phonics programmes. In the second edition, there's also better thematic alignment. This is to improve the spiraling of content year on year, but also to support multi-grade settings should you choose to have more than one Abair Liom textbook within your classroom. Now, planning, Foland's always been famed for its planning, but has been further enhanced in the second edition. I'm not alone, I'd say, in stating that I absolutely despise planning. Even on the days that I wake up and I know it's the day that I have to write my fortnightly plan, it's definitely hard to get out of bed in those days. I really hate it. But I've noticed, because the second edition is only in place this year, my planning time for Irish has been greatly reduced through the use of these schemes. Now we do have a school plan that we have to fill just for continuity among our classes, but the planning tools here are fully editable, fully adaptable, and I find them particularly useful. As you can see on the screen, there's the yearly plans, the fortnightly plans, and the unit plans. The yearly plans offer an overview of the scheme, demonstrate how to break down the content over the course of a year, allow you to see at a glance the progression and spiraling from class to class, which subsequently greatly enhances whole school planning when working with teachers in other year groups. The fortnightly plans, as I said, are all editable and adaptable. We're currently in the midst of Seachtain na Gaeilge, which has our own separate school plan taken from Abair Liom, but there's other elements like a céilí, that all those kind of things that have to be fitted in. So my fortnightly plan for now, I've actually taken chunks of it and did them in the last set of fortnight and forward. And that's the beauty of these editable plans, that if something is cropping up specific to your school, you can just move sections of work, or likewise if teachers out sick for a week or if a cohort or your students. So they're very, very adaptable, but you can ensure that you're covering that content by just moving those sections around. Revision and Gaeilge and Avramúl are clearly defined for each unit, so you know exactly what to reinforce on a fortnightly basis, and then your unit plan further breaks that down into a daily scenario. So one of my favourite aspects of the programme for infants are the big books. The ability of the big books to enhance vocabulary, it actually can't be stated enough. So the titles you see across the top are the ones for infants, and the row on the bottom are the senior infant collection. So I'm currently 7 titles in. I'm on the green book, the Cowell Briska. And I find that through the use of the big book, the story is about 8 pages. The quality of the language is absolutely superb. But just by reading those 8 to 10 pages, you are fully revising all of the content you've taught. So for example, I'm sure was January for me, but I happened to read it last week. It took 6 or 7 minutes, but you fully rehash the vocabulary that you've taught in January. So it's a really easy and quick way to revise. And another way to show how the big books really allow them to absorb high quality language was today. We did the 3 mucking about 3 weeks ago, and one of the common lines in it is Ní ligig mé isteachú. It's something that the mucking keeps saying to the Mochtira. And a little lady in my room today spent way too long in the bathroom, and there was somebody pounding on the door wanting to come in, and she just stood her ground and said Ní ligig mé isteachú. And of course she became Gaeilgeoran lay because she'd used Irish in the right context. What a high quality sentence as well to be coming out of a little tiny tot. Now she's on a clishte, but it's lovely to see the Irish, but I've seen that across the big books. So the quality of these, they cannot be stated enough. They link really well if anybody's using Explorers or Starlight. The integration between all the themes and everything are excellent. Similar feedback from our senior infant teachers in my school using the second set of books. So on to, these are the snippets from the book. This is from a junior infant book, so anybody using Explorers or Starlight will spot the integration there as that story appears in those 3. That's another one for junior infants. And again, I'll just go back so you can see the jump of content then to senior infants. Like the standard is always progressing year on year. Beautiful language there. These are also from senior infants, and if you're familiar with the primary language curriculum, you'll spot the opposites there, as well as the beautiful imagery, which is very captivating for our students. So on to Abair Liom 3rd and 4th. As I said, the second edition of these are coming on stream for next September. So like Abair Liom junior infants to 2nd, with Abair Liom 3rd and 4th class, everything you need is in one very easy to use package. Obviously you have your pupil book. You have the most comprehensive set of digital resources of any Irish scheme: interactive oral language posters, animated oral, digital stories, vocabulary flashcards and games, grammar flashcards and games, phonics flashcards and games. There's also a teacher's guide, as well as termly assessments available online. I'm very familiar with those termly assessments. A lot of checklists of just the vocabulary is fully listed there. Very, very easy to use once printed to keep track of your students' progress. And they actually really highlight those that are not progressing. So really where you can allow differentiation to filter in for those students. As I said, I personally access the handbook through the digital capacity. There's also Abair Liom is a levelled Irish reading programme. I just happen to have I know my screen is quite small for you to see, but I just happen to have the first and second class titles here so you can see the size of them. They're a mixture of fiction and non-fiction stories. I'm going to come on to Abair Liom later on to show how they work, but they're a levelled Irish reading programme. They will be coming on stream for 3rd and 4th in autumn, and there will be 15 titles for 3rd and 15 titles for 4th. So Abair Liom 3rd and 4th contains everything you need to successfully teach Irish. As I said at the start, there's been a real push in this 2nd edition of Abair Liom 3rd and 4th to ensure that fun and engaging approach continues on from infants up through this content, but also a big push has been made to make it very, very accessible. But you will also see, as we walk through Abair Liom 3, the level of differentiation that is also available within this content. There's fantastic parent supports in place that you'll also see tonight, and very, very comprehensive planning. So we're going to take a walk through a sample unit. So this is May Féin, so it'll be next September's Abair Liom 3 if you're using the 2nd edition. So each theme begins with a dedicated page of key vocabulary and language structure. Now your theme lasts for 4 weeks, and inside in that 4 weeks, your overarching theme of May Féin has 2 units. The key vocabulary that you see on the screen, I also have it here, but I know it's difficult to see, but this is the real life version of it. This, the key vocabulary you see there becomes the bulk of your difficult vocabulary for the full month. And then through Unit 1 and Unit 2, this content is presented to your students on multiple levels, so they get lots of repetition, lots of opportunities to stretch them in other directions too for those students that need it. But this is a great focus for both teacher and for students to constantly remember what the focus language is. Vocabulary flashcards are available digitally, but these can also be printed, and new digital games support the consolidation and practice of vocabulary and phrases in every unit. Your illustrated poster becomes the 2nd section of your book. This is also available digitally. It's a great stimulus for oral language. So this is how it looks in the book. I know it's difficult to see. Digital versions of the posters are available, as I said, but these also include the story, vocabulary, question modes, and a new labelling mode. A lovely nod there, very subtle nod to Minecraft, again showing how current the programme is and how engaging the programme is for our students. So the reading text, this is where accessibility really comes in. The reading texts in Abair Liom have been changed and extensively revised to improve accessibility. There is lots and lots and lots of repetition of the key vocabulary and language structures, and more illustrations have been added to support understanding. In addition, and it's absolutely such a support to those students, especially any EAL students, any of those struggling already with English, the audio of this text is available online and for students to access at home on folens.ie. With the Córó has been also revamped to improve accessibility. It's been colour-coded to help children understand who is speaking. In addition, animated versions of these activities and real-life videos of 3rd and 4th class children speaking the focus language structures have also been added to help engage and motivate students to ensure that they are experiencing the success and keep them positive with that positive attitude. So we know that grammar is one of the most challenging aspects once they hit 3rd and onwards, but the focused double page spread has been given to grammar, with 1 page on grammar and 1 page on verbs, signposting the learning, while enhanced visual supports allow for explicit modelling and instruction for each of the grammar topics, and starred activities, you'll see them at the bottom, support differentiation. So for those students that are finding these kind of topics easy, there is differentiation throughout. There's 4 levels of differentiation, Abair Liom 3, and these extension activities at the bottom support that. Digital grammar games are available for every unit so that children can practice and consolidate their learning in a very, very fun way. There is, each theme has a dedicated listening activity. So if you go back to your key vocabulary page, that's right at the front of your unit. This will greatly help your students to fill in this. So using the key vocabulary page as an aid or as a scaffold to help them answer the question. But obviously your students that are very capable, they can do it without the book opening. They can do it without the aid to add that challenge, maybe that they're spelling or using the words themselves. But as an aid to see what's coming up in the listening activity, that key vocabulary page is absolutely invaluable. There's also a phonics section. You'll see it on the second side. The structured and systematic phonics instruction in each unit supports pronunciation and spelling. As with the junior end of the programme, phonics flashcards and games are also available online. So that concludes your first fortnight in the theme. This text is from your second fortnight. So week 3 of the theme, but your second unit. This is the main text for the second unit of the theme. The text has been spread across 2 pages with lots of bright and engaging illustrations to support understanding. And as previously mentioned, a digital version of the story is available, and that's available online. The audio is also available on folens.ie for parents to access at home. So in order to ensure that pupils over the course of the second fortnight can read this, it could be read by teacher, it could be read in pairs, it could be read in small groups, it can be heard digitally, it can also be heard at home. So plenty of access to keep our students learning. In the comprehension questions, you'll see that they've also been colour coded. They're also differentiated as the questions get difficult, more and more difficult as you move down through them. This chapter, this unit also contains grammar. You'll see a choro and a written task there, but there's also a grammar and a verb section within this unit. But we're going to take a look at the written activity. So the written spread, personally, if I was teaching, I would spend 3 weeks on the previous content you've just seen, really allowing our students to be fully immersed in the vocabulary that you're teaching, hearing it constantly. And then personally, I would spend the final week of your 4-week block solely on these 2 pages to really allow our students time to embed the language that we want them to hear, but also to scaffold the approach that they are ready for now this written task. This really follows best practice, which is a gradual release of responsibility model. There's lots of scaffolding, lots of support at this stage. So this is 3rd class. Even if you look at the layout of this written task, I think it's presented really, really well. Liam's profile is done for you. The words in bold, then when you come to Magda's profile, they're just the ones that need to be changed in order for you to be able to write Magda's. So a lot of scaffolding there that they can do it. And then onto your profile, they've engaged with Liam's, they've written Magda's, they should be capable of writing their own. Again, this key vocabulary page could be open. Answering these questions that you've spent 3 weeks on would really help that profile. So I think it's an excellent model of how writing can just really be supported for our students, but allowing those that are capable to push on without the supports in place. We know how hard it is also to find engaging oral language games. I actually trialed this with 3rd class in our school and it really was a big hit. So this is an Irish version of the Guess Who game, using the Irish, the focus language that you want them to practice, but Os Gaeilge. So it's a simple Guess Who game that they're familiar with. And actually our own 3rd class really loved this, that they actually went back to the Guess Who board game, the traditional one, and are now playing that version of this, using this model, playing the board game Os Gaeilge. So it's been a big hit in our school. There is an oral language game at the end of each unit, end of each theme, I think it is. So this has been added. This is a feature of the pupil book that really I think everybody will appreciate, for the simple reason that spelling programs are often a separate book, a separate program. And I found, you know, being a teacher at the senior end of the school, particularly in 6th class, a lot of the spellings that are on your spelling list for that week do not match the content that you're teaching, do not match your theme. So this is one of the greatest integrated spelling programs that I feel is available on the market, for the simple reason that 6 of the words in your spelling list, you can see it, I think I have a cursor, you can see it more so on this side in the larger version. 6 of the words are theme related vocabulary, 3 are then verbs, and 3 are phonics based. There is online printables for those that need the additional practice. We know there's plenty of students that don't need those workbook activities to learn the spellings. They can simply look and learn. But for those that need the constant repetition of the written practice, there's online printables available and practice activities. And just to hark back to this key vocabulary page, you will see the vocabulary there in the spelling list is directly linked to the vocabulary that you are spending your month learning. So it's a fantastic integrated spelling program, cuts out that separate book. It is towards the end of your Abair Liom book. So we're going to take a look at the digital resources now. The digital posters are the perfect stimulus for oral language conversation. Each mode contains multiple modes, or each poster, sorry, contains multiple modes: explore, story, questions, vocabulary, and labeling. The reading text in the pupil book, as I said, are also available digitally so that the children can listen to the text being read to them with accompanying images. The animated choral in each unit models the focus language structures for each lesson. And finally, a beautiful addition are the real-life videos of children speaking Irish, helping to bring Irish to life, but also not just hearing teachers' voice leading it all the time. It's lovely to hear it from students, also with different dialects. Onto the games then. We're fortunate enough to have a suite of iPads in our own school. These are particularly useful for station teaching, but also for whole class instruction as well. So the grammar games allow them to practice and consolidate the difficult parts of Irish, such as grammar, in such a fun way. It's now easier than ever to teach Irish because of the digital flashcards and vocabulary games, highlighting the key phrases. The phonics games and the phonics flashcards allowed them to hear the correct pronunciation of the different sounds. And finally, a poem and a song for each unit. I'm going to take a look now at some of the digital resources for you to hear the quality. I know I've said this before, but maybe it's our own whiteboards, but often when you play videos directly from YouTube, those with sensory issues in my school tend to cover their ears, be it the sound quality or whatever way it reflects through the whiteboard. But for some reason, the sound quality with Abair Liom, I find it doesn't have that effect on students with sensory issues for when these videos are played. So whatever way, whatever sound decibels they are operating on, the sound quality itself does not seem to have those effects. So we're going to have a little look, first of all, at this online poster. You'll see there's 5 modes within this, giving lots of options to engage students orally. So we're going to look at the story mode and then the labeling mode.
Brethla Hjain agus Hiefra atá an. Tá na páisiú sa háirgí. Tá bia álan an mórd. Tá cáca Brethlé an mórd. Tá cuinle lasa an gáca. Tá páistí ina sí an talamh githe agus gáil. Tá mami ghlacu Greengraf. Tá na cailíní giste ceol. Tá na búcailí gibbert pelle. Tá tafií gre agus ispíní ina bhéilige.
Now on to the labeling activity.
Grúig chun. Grúig rua.
And now we'll take a look at a grammar activity. So there's several grammar activities in each unit. Some are focused on grammar, but some specifically on verbs. And tonight we're taking a look at a verb practice game.
Doscail mé. Dúirt mé.
And finally, we're going to look at one of the vocabulary activities. For this unit, there's a set of vocabulary flashcards. You can see there's a vocabulary game in the middle, and finally an Aisiamléirí activity, so children can practice and consolidate the language that you want them to know, the specific language structures that they've been learning over the course of the unit. The flashcards are also available to print online, which then can be used from classroom games or to create that print-rich environment.
Scalóga. Balloon.
So as with the junior end of the programme, there has been changes made to with the second edition to planning. Abair Liom 3rd and 4th is a very comprehensive set of yearly plans and fortnightly plans. So the fortnightly plans contain 2 key learning outcomes across oral language, reading and writing. As you can see from them there, they're completely mapped to the primary language curriculum. So you do not need to go near that dreaded red cover of the primary language curriculum. You do not need to go into that book. Everything here, everything from that book has been taken and placed here. They also identify focus language structures as well as language structures that the children have learned in previous classes and are revising. I'm just going to click back there and use the cursor. If you see these 4 columns here, they mean Mórdith, Bacordith, Déadfá and Breis. They are your 4 levels of differentiation. Now, as a 6th class teacher last year, it wasn't the second edition, so I had 3 levels, but here with the 4, I always tend to try and do Ní Mórdith and Bacordith. That's what I'm pushing all of my students to get to by the end of the first week. So there, that's the key vocabulary. That is my focus that I'm trying to impart those 2 boxes to all. Now, obviously not everybody's going to get that far within a week, but that is the focus. That's where I try to push them towards. And then the second week, I try and really push then onto Déadfá and Breis. Very few I find get to here, but it's lovely to see how you can really stretch those more capable students down to there. To zoom in on it then, if something is bold, it is new to your students. It is, they possibly have not seen this previously. They may have heard it somewhere, but they have not seen this as a specific focus until this point. If something is not in bold, it's your revision. You can expect that they have heard it. They may need a little re-jolt to remember it, but they have seen it somewhere else in the programme. So there's your revision and your focus language. Gaeilge Avramúla is also clearly laid out for you, so you know what your common day-to-day language that you're going to use throughout your day. Often in 3rd and 4th as well, parents are very keen to help their child and want to support their child as best they can, but they've often lost confidence to speak at this level of Irish. So in order to support parents, there's a number of resources in place on folens.ie. Audio to accompany the reading text in the student's book, but also vocabulary flashcards and games. These resources are very, very easily accessible by just scanning a QR code on the inside cover of the pupil book. So Abair Liom 3rd and 4th contains everything you need to successfully teach Irish. There has been a huge change to increase accessibility while also allowing for a huge level of differentiation to stretch students that are capable. But accessibility has been to the absolute fore of the second edition, as well as that engaging, fun approach through language games and digital resources. There is improved and excellent parental support, as well as very, very comprehensive planning. Finally, I just want to point out the Leighlum programme, which is a new levelled Irish reading programme. It's currently in place. It's used in 1st and 2nd class in my own school. I have them here for you to see them. There's 15 titles for 1st and 15 titles for 2nd, 6 levels in total. They're a mixture of fiction and non-fiction books. There's a sample of the fiction and the non-fiction. But what's lovely about these is there's a very an excellent focus on sight words. Now this again is something that we have overlooked in our school. We've overlooked phonics, we've overlooked sight words early on. Now that we're aware of that, there's a big push on. We forget that if we want progressive readers and writers towards the senior end of a school, it has to start earlier. We have to give our students the best chance to succeed. So it's lovely to see such a focus on sight words. This is one of the 1st class books. So it's lovely to see sight words really being focused on there. What's great about it is on the inside cover of the book, you get this level of, to maximize the book, you get teaching points to maximize the book. You can see the QR code here. And the QR code, once scanned, brings you to that digital audio that you see on screen. So these books can be used for guided reading in classroom alongside teacher, but also for independent reading at home, that they can use the QR code to read the book to them. Obviously, some will be able for the independent reading. This QR code, once scanned, also brings you to that second box where it says Misha, and they are activities and games based on the sight words that are the commonly occurring words within the book. At the back of the book then, there is support for parents, Abair Liom, with some hints as Gaeilge, to really support parents to listen to the book online. And the other picture you see there on the screen is what the parents will see when they come on. They select the book and all of the supports are there for them. So as I said, these are the ones for first and second class, and the books for third and fourth to support Abair Liom 3 and 4 are coming on stream for next September. That's 15 titles for third, 15 titles for fourth, 6 levels in total. And that concludes my section of tonight's webinar. Thank you so much for your time, and any questions can be popped into the Q&A box.
Thanks a million, Jenny. That was really fantastic. I'm just going to very quickly bring everyone through just 3 update slides. As Jenny mentioned, if you want to take a closer look at any of the books for yourselves, we have them up on folens.ie. We also have some examples of the planning and digital resources that you can try out for yourselves in the classroom. So they're all up there at the moment. As I'm sure you're all well aware, it is a very big year for change with the free school book scheme. So I just wanted to remind you that your local Folens rep is available for calls and consultations at a time that suits you. They can bring you through information on all our programs and can show you how the content in those programs can help meet your classroom needs. They can also work with you to find the best value to meet your school requirements, and they're supported with a range of special offers and bundles across our portfolio, including our literacy resources as well. Some other news, we have some more webinars coming up. Next week we have a music webinar with Anne Purcell, so that's on Tuesday. We also have 2 maths webinars which will help to prepare you for the new curriculum. So mathematical modelling with author Patrick Neary, and then problem solving in the junior classroom with Elaine Dillon. So you can register for any of these webinars on folens.ie. So I'll stop sharing my screen for now, and if Karen and Jenny can join me in case anyone has any questions, you can just pop them into the chat box. I think we've only really had one question so far, which was, when is the 5th and 6th class books available? They will be available for September 2024, but Karen, I believe we're going to have potentially some sample content available for 5th class in the coming weeks, is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. We're currently working on a sample lesson for 5th class, and that should be available after Easter at some point, and at the time 6th class as well.
Brilliant. And they'll all be put up on folens.ie, and if you just keep an eye out on email or on social media, we'll let you know when they're up there. I'm just going to check if anyone has included any other questions. No other questions at all. I might give everyone just a couple more seconds, and if not, we can let you all go and enjoy the rest of your evening and catch up with any TV viewing you have. Okay. Yeah, I think I don't think anyone, I think it was very clear. So if you do think of anything, have one of your to go through any questions that you may have. Okay, thanks a million, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. Thanks, Jenny. Thanks, Karen.
Thanks, Jenny.